Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I am here with a declutter. I'm gonna go through all of my single eyeshadows, both like, not like singles but like all my potted singles, like my Super Shock shadows, some other like single shadows in packaging, some cream shadows as well, some pigment and some glitters and other things like that. So everything basically that is not in a pre-made palette or in my singles palette. So that's my plan today. I think I have just over 40 items here. And my plan is to declutter at least 10, ideally way more than that, but that's my minimum. If I can declutter like 15-20, that would be even better. But that is the plan today. So before I jump into actual declutter, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. So I'm going to start with my potted cream eyeshadows, like for example my paint pots. I have some Chanel cream eyeshadows and some other things here. So these are the ones I'm going to start with. I'm going to start by just doing a rough declutter with everything I know that I'm getting rid of. And at the end I might compare certain things and see so I don't have too many of the similar kind of shade. So let's start. So I'm going to start with the Chanel eyeshadows first, because a lot of these are going to get decluttered because they are very dried out now. So again, I'm going to start with these. Let's just start with a random one. This is the shade Emerald. It's a French name, so I'm probably won't pronounce every single one because they are difficult for me to pronounce, but this one is just like a shimmy kind of shade, and again these are very dried out from what I remember. Yeah, you can barely not even see that. I have this kind of shimmer shade over and over in my collection, and I have gotten some decent use out of it, but it's time to let this one go. So this is going to be the first one that I'm decluttering. So moving on to the next one, we're going to take this one here, which is the shade Fantasme. This one is one that I am considering keeping. I know this one is also quite dried out, but it does kind of provide a really sheer glitter effect, which I think is very, very pretty. It just fell out of the thing, so it is very dried out. But I think with some Duraline, this one will perform quite well. And again, it does have enough pigment for me that I feel like I'm gonna keep this one. Just for when I want like a glitter kind of scattered effect. The next shade is the shade Illusoire. Again, I'm terrible with French, so please don't tell me I'm butchering it in the comments, because I do know I do. This one is another one that is dried out, and this one is a shade that I wouldn't really often reach for. You can still get a little bit of pigment from this one, but again, it's just such a mediocre shade for me. It does have a little nice sparkle to it, but since I found in the eyeshadows, the sparkle in these is like nothing, so I'm going to declutter this one as well. The last shade I have is the shade New Moon, and this one was my absolute favorite. I love this shade. I still love it, but I'm just going to see how it compares now when I have other kind of indie shadows and stuff. It does still have a really nice sparkle. This one also does have pretty decent pigmentation. I like the shade, but I never reach for this one anymore. It's so beautiful looking at it in the lights here, but I need to be honest with myself. I'm not going to reach for this one. I haven't reached for it at all this whole year. I don't even think I reached for it last year more than maybe once or twice. So this is difficult because I love the shade, but I am going to declutter this one. So that's pretty good. 3 out of 4 decluttered. Let's move on to my paint pot next, because I have 4 of those as well. The first shade I have is Constructivist, which is a really, really deep brown. Again, this one is very dried out, but it still does give really good pigmentation. This one is a really deep kind of cream eyeshadow base. And I think I'm going to hold on to this because I feel like this would be a nice base to put underneath like iridescent shades and stuff like that from indie eyeshadows. Yeah, to give a different effect. So I'm going to hold on to this one and try to reach for it more. The next shade we're going to do is this one here, which is Groundwork. This one is one that I have used quite a bit. I'm not even sure if I will be able to swatch this one because it's so far down. I'll probably just get my nail stuck in it, but I need to try anyway. This one looks like this. Again, it's really hard for me to swatch this one because I can't really reach it with my fingers now when I have my nails. But yeah, this one is another really nice shade. I can tell again it's a bit drier, but I do like the shade of it, and again it's a nice base I think for in the eyeshadows. So I am going to hold on to this one as well. We have 2 more shades to go. The next one is Rubenesque, which is a beautiful kind of goldeny base. Oh, this one is really dried out. It has cracked in the middle, as you can see. It does give a really nice like shimmer though. Again, it's really hard to swatch these with my nails, but hopefully you can see that it gives like a nice kind of duochrome effect. Yeah, that's a better swatch. But I just feel like I never reach for this shade, especially with the indie shadows that I have now. This is just nothing. You can see the duochrome there. like a pink to gold. But yeah, I'm not going to reach for this one with the indie shadows that I have. It could be nice as a base again, but I rarely reach for bases like this. Then I would rather reach for glitter glue, so I'm going to declutter this one. And then lastly we have the shade Vintage Selection, which is another more kind of shimmery shade. This one isn't as dried out as the other ones, and it is a stunning shade. You can see it there. Again, I can tell this is more creamy. It's beautiful, but I just don't see when I would reach for this one. You know what? I think this might be one that I'm gonna give to my mom because it's still creamy enough. It's definitely my newest paint pot, so I feel like it's still creamy enough, but I just won't reach for it, and I think she will really enjoy this kind of shade. She just often go for like a one kind of shimmery shade all over her lid, and I think she will like this one. So I'm going to declutter this one as well. Okay, so I'm doing way better than I thought. I have decluttered 5 and kept 3 so far, which is really good. And then we have the last kind of potted cream eyeshadow. This is not really a cream, but yeah, potted shades. This one is another kind of bronzy shade. This is the shade Bronze Have More Fun from Benefit. I've had this for so long, but it's still super creamy. Like, this is definitely the best kind of formula when it comes to that creaminess. Sorry, the swatch isn't the best because I have just used my makeup wipe, but the swatch is really nice. And again, I feel like this would be a really nice base for in the eyeshadows. I'm interested to see how this compares to Constructivist though, because I said I would compare it then, but I just want to compare this anyway to see how they look next to each other. Yeah, that one is definitely more cool toned and one is a bit more warm toned. I probably don't need both, but I'm not sure which one I want to keep. It would probably be Constructivist, but I'm gonna hold on to this one for now because I feel like they give cool tone base or warm tone base. So yeah, I'm gonna hold on to both for now because yeah, I don't know, I feel like if you blend these both out, they give a different kind of look. So holding on to both of these for now. The last one I have out of these is my Stila The Magnificent Metals in Metal Peach. This was like kind of what they came out with before the liquid glittering glows. And this one is so stunning. Again, it's just a super pretty glitter. This works perfect still, and I'm gonna hold on to this one. So at this point we have decluttered 5, kept 5, so that's pretty good. Let's do my kind of cream eyeshadows next. So these two are purples and these are kind of more neutral shades. This one is actually a bit pinky, so I'm gonna do that in the middle. So with these ones, let's start with my Kiko Milano ones. I'm gonna swatch out all 3 and then make a decision on them. So here we have those shades, and these two I feel like are very similar to some of the ones I kept, like the Constructivist and the Bronze Have More Fun. And this one is the most different. However, I feel like this one is the least kind of favorite. I don't like the formula nor the shades. So this one I'm definitely going to declutter. With these two, I do like them, but I just never reach for my eyeshadow sticks. But they are quite nice as a base. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare them again to my previous 2 that I kept, like the ones that are similar to these 2, and I'm going to decide then. So here you have the swatches of that. They are very, very similar, but they're so different because these are shimmer and these are mattes. Part of me kind of wants to keep them, but also I never ever reach for these. I'm going back and forth, but I think I am going to declutter them. I was thinking about maybe keeping one, but this one is very similar to this one, just with a shimmer, and I have these shades in like non-creams, and if I would need a base for something I would top it off anyway, and then I feel like the matte ones or like the more slightly satiny ones are better than these because I can blend these out in the crease. This one is slightly more different than this, so am I gonna keep that? No, because I don't reach for those colors very often, and yeah, it's time to let these ones go. They do stay on pretty well though, because I was just trying to rub these off and they're taking quite a lot of rubbing with a makeup wipe to come off, but yeah, they are good if you want cream eyeshadows, but again, I used to really reach for cream eyeshadows very often. So let me swatch out the rest and I will go through these as well. So here you have those swatches. The first one is the Sydney Grey shade, which is this one here. This one I got a free gift with purchase for the mystery bag this past July. And this one I really do enjoy. I think it's beautiful, it's relatively new, so I'm going to keep this one. The middle shade here is a beautiful kind of purple shade, and I love this one. I have held on to it because I felt like it was such a unique shade in my collection. I liked using this as a base for other shimmers. But I feel like nowadays, I don't know, I feel like it would still be a nice base though for some of my indie shadows. Maybe I should play around with that a bit more before I declutter it, because it's such a beautiful shade and it's so unique as well to my collection. I'm going to keep this and play around with some indie shades like as a combination, and if I don't use it in the next couple of months, I will declutter it at the end of the year. And then lastly, we have my Stila Glitter and Glow in the shade Sea Siren. I love this shade. It's like a pink to bluish purple kind of multi-chrome even. It looks like a duochrome here, but it does also have a green shift when I look at it in other lighting. So I would say it's a multi-chrome. It's stunning, and I do want to keep this one too. I will try to pan this next year though, because it is getting a bit dry, but I will keep this for now. So not the best category, I kept all three, but I feel like these are more unique than the other ones that I went through earlier. So next up we have kind of the pigments and the glitters, and I have swatched them out right here. We have the Sydney Grace one right here, which is quite subtle. It's this shade here. This is in the shade Welcome to the Family. Again, this was from the mystery bag this past year. Then we have this gold glitter, which is quite a standard gold glitter, I would say. And then this one is, by the way, in the shade She Said Yes. And lastly, we have a Pastel Roses pigment in the shade, does it say? Oh, there, Watermelon. So that is the last shade, and there we have those. Honestly, I feel like I'm going to keep both of these because I feel like this would be, both of them actually would be pretty as nail polishes. And I feel like I would use both of them as eyeshadows too. And I like them both. This one here is, I'm a bit hesitant about because this eyeshadow itself isn't the prettiest, and I haven't used this on my eyes yet actually, but it's just very underwhelming to me. So I actually think I'm going to declutter this one. It's a shame because it's a really big tub, and I got this, I mean, as a gift with purchase, so I'm not going to spend lots of money on it. But yeah, I think I'm going to let this one go because I'm really not very impressed with the swatch. So I actually swatched that shade again over glitter glue just to give it a fair shot, and it is actually quite stunning when you touch it over glitter glue. That's making me hesitate with my decision. But I feel like, again, I used to have these shades over and over in my collection, and I'd rather reach for those. And I just feel like I'm not going to get any use out of this shade, so I'm still going to declutter it. Next up, we have my single eyeshadows. Like, these are regular eyeshadows that are in kind of single containers. So yeah, these are next. I also have my Super Shock shadows after this, and then after that I'm done. So not too much to go, but I'm going to swatch out all of these again, and I will show you what I'm keeping. So here we have all the swatches. Let's start with this one first because that is the duo. This one here is nothing special when it comes to eyeshadows. However, I know I really like these as highlighters. I used this as highlighters in a project earlier this year. Then I realized it's like subtle highlighters, so I think I might keep it as that and pan it next year as like highlighters. But yeah, I'm gonna keep this for now and not declutter it. Then I'm gonna start with the easier ones because these are the bottom three here. We have all NARS eyeshadows. The first one is the shade Coconut Grove. Then we have this one, which is Outer Limits. And then lastly we have this one, which I think is Callisto. Yeah. Oh, Callisto, sorry. So these three here I feel like still perform very, very well. This one is so shiny. This has like a beautiful sparkle to it, and then this one is a really nice deep matte brown. So I'm gonna keep all three of those. Then when the top four, these ones here, this is again a bit more tricky. This one here it performs really well. It's relatively new as well. I actually got it as a gift. However, it's just not my type of color. I kept it because it was a gift, but I just feel like I would rather pass this on to someone else, or if no one wanted, even back to MAC, and be able to get something else for it. So I'm going to declutter this one. This is MAC Mulch. Then these three here are, there's really stunning kind of satiny shades, and I've had a hard time letting these go because they are Burberry eyeshadows. But I just feel like I don't really reach for these very often. When I was panning this one, I actually had this in my, I think, Panos eyeshadows. I used this as a brow powder, and it worked quite well, so maybe I will keep this around for that. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I feel like this would work really well as a brow powder. I do have a different eyeshadow currently, which I didn't include here, which is Omega from MAC, which I use as a brow powder as well. But I feel like this one would be good to replace that one with once I use that one up. So even though it is more of a satin shade, it doesn't have enough shimmers in it that I feel like it would interfere with like my brows and everything, so I will keep this one for that. But I think with that as well, I'm going to move this into my brow products as well, just to have it in there rather than in my eyeshadows. Then we have these two here, which are the center ones, and this is again a bit more difficult because I feel like I don't really use these kind of satin shades very often. This one feels very close to Patina from MAC. So I might actually swatch those out next to each other and see how they could do. Let me get that one and compare. Okay, so super awkward swatch because I had no space to swatch it next to it. It's actually not that similar. This one is more kind of yellow toned and this is more of a regular taupe, like a standard taupe. I do like this one though, so I think I'm gonna hold on to this one as well. However, I feel like this one is a shade that I would not reach for very often, so I will let this one go. I would rather used to reach for a regular matte. And I feel like this wouldn't be something that I mean, I could put it all over my lid, I guess, but I feel like I'm just going to pass it on to my mom because this is the most pristine one as well. And I think she would really like this one. Yeah, or I don't know, to my mom or to a friend or someone. I feel like this one is one that I will gift. So I'm going to declare this one. Okay, so not amazing, but I did get rid of 2 shades, which are these 2 here. And I did keep the rest. So here we have my Super Shock shadows, which is the last category that I have left to go through. These are most of them apart from a couple that I'm currently panning. I am panning DJAF, I'm panning Revolution, and I think that is it. I used to pan Lightning Bug as well, but I have finished that one. So these are my ColourPop Super Shock shadows. I was thinking about bringing in DJAF because Revolution I'm trying to finish, so that's fine, but DJAF I only have a usage goal on, so I feel like that one I might, you know, be able to... I'm going to keep that one afterwards. But if I want to declare that one, I'm going to make the decision after that video. So, I have swatched everything out. So these are the Super Shock shadows here. So let's just go in order. This one here is a kind of golden shade. This is the shade Fluffy, which is like a gold shade with a pink sparkle in it. I quite like this one, so I am going to hold on to it for now. This one here is a beautiful kind of... almost like an iridescent shade, but it doesn't really have a shift to it, but it's like a sandy kind of tone with a blue shift. And I mean, it does have a shift then, but like not a multi-crown shift, just like a regular shift. And I have used this one a lot, so I feel like it's not something that I want to keep in my collection forever, but I feel like I like it enough that I will pan it maybe next year. And I think this would be really easy to use as an unicorn highlight and stuff, so I feel like this is one that I will try to pan. Next up we have another beautiful one. This is one that I'm not quite sure about what to do with yet. I like it. It's quite sparkly. It's like a rusty kind of tone. This is the shade Sequin. It's like a rose gold rusty tone. I like this a lot actually, and it's really, really creamy still. So I feel like I'm going to hold on to this one as well. If I'm not sure, I'm going to hold on to it for now because I'm not going to push myself to declutter stuff that I will regret later. And I have already done pretty well with decluttering, so I'm going to hold on to this one. However, the next one here is this shade here. This is the shade Super Hardcore. This one is just like a regular kind of champagne kind of inner corner shade, and I don't really fancy this one anymore. And it's nothing special, so I will declutter this one. Then we have these 2 shades here, which are both really nice. This one here is the shade Amaze, which is like a lighter, slightly more gold version of this. I feel like if these 2 had a baby, it would be this one. And I like it. Again, I think this one I might end up panning. We'll see how it goes, but I'm going to hold on to it for now. And then maybe if I don't end up panning it next year, I will declutter it at that point. And then this one here is super unique. It's like olive kind of greenish grey with pink sparkles in it. And it's the shade So Quiche. And I'm going to hold on to this one too for now because it is quite unique. Moving on to the top row, this shade here is nice, but it's just like, it doesn't have a sparkle to it. It's nothing special, so I am going to declare this one. And that is the shade Weenie, which is again more of a satin. It's not one of the ultra glitters, it's one of their ultra metallics. Again, that's why it doesn't have any glitters. Then we have a super unique shade again. It's like a really hot pink with a blue shift to it, and that's this one here, which is the shade Fantasy. I don't reach for this one too often, but pulling it out now, I feel like I want to reach for it more. And it reminds me of some indie eyeshadows that I've seen recently that are super, super like bright pink with a blue shift in it. And I feel like I want to keep this one and play around with it, especially if it stops me from buying those singles, so I'm going to keep this one. Next up we have this shade here, which is like a, again, very kind of standard color, but it's similar to this one, but it just has a lilac-y shift to it. Well, like not even shift, it's just like a lilac-y version of this. And this is the shade Eye Candy. Again, since this is nothing special, and you know, I don't feel like I would ever pan this, I am gonna hold on to this. Also, when I smelled this, when I swatched it, or not even smelled it, but when I swatched it, I got a really, really strong scent of it, so I'm definitely think this one has expired. So again, this one can go. So we have 3 left to go, which are these 3 here. These 2 are 2 of the sparkliest out of all of these. This one here is the shade Prickly Pear, which is a beautiful kind of mauvey cool tone with gold glitter in it. And I think this one is really nice, so I am gonna hold on to this one as well. You know what? I was looking at this one when I was letting the dog out, and it is nice, but it's nothing special really. And I feel like I have loads of other shades like this. It's just like the sparkler, but I would rather reach for like shifty shades or like my indie eyeshadow, so I'm going to declutter this one as well, which was the shade Prickly Pear. So we have these 2 left to go, and this one here is a bit too deep for what I like. It again has a beautiful sparkle to it, but I don't think I'm going to keep this one, and that is the shade Millionaire. So this one is as well going to be decluttered. Then the last shade we have is this shade here, which is the shade Wattles. This one is the only kind of satiny shade or like matte shade that I have. And this one is beautiful. It felt a little bit dry, but I'm going to try to rehydrate it because I really like the color of this. So I'm going to keep this one and maybe try to put a few drops of gel line in there and see how it goes. But I do like the color, so I'm going to keep this one. So I actually did way better than I thought with my Super Shock shadows. I decluttered 5 and I kept 7. So really happy with that. Let me just count up the total of what I decluttered and what I kept, and I will show you the stats. So here is everything that I'm keeping. I have swatched everything out apart from the glitter because it is used to gold glitter, and I know it won't be similar to anything else. Because I forgot I also want to check, so I'm not keeping anything that is too similar. And looking at this, I can't really see anything that is too similar or exact or anything like that. I mean, the only thing I can think of is these 2 here, but this one is a powder shadow and this one is a cream shadow, and this one has more brown to it, where this one is like a more taupey shade, and that is again the Burberry shade that I want to use for my brows. So this is everything that I'm keeping. I am keeping 23 items, so again these are right here. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. Nothing that I feel like I want to declutter additionally. I mean, some of these I probably will declutter again in the future, but I feel like I did really well, especially when you see what I decluttered. So here is everything that I decluttered. I have 16 items that I decluttered out of originally 39. That is about 41% of everything that I had, which I'm so happy about. I did not expect to declutter that many things. Like I said, my goal was 10, so I definitely surpassed that. And yeah, I'm happy with what I kept, and I feel like what I decluttered can either go to a better home or honestly just be thrown into the trash, because some of these things are very old. But that is basically it for today's declutter. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And otherwise, I will catch you in my next video. Bye guys.